Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
From Hollywood, California, Paul J.
My name is Paul and I'm an alcoholic. Hello, San Francisco. The most beautiful city in the world. I actually feel that way. I have a crush on Chicago, but I've got to tell you, San Francisco is the most. I had the great good pleasure to know a man by the name of Stanton Delaplane. And he had written for the San Francisco Chronicle for about 53 years. He wrote about travel and so forth. And he used to fly down to Los Angeles. And I was a shampoo boy at one time in my... And bless his heart, he only had 4 hairs. But he would come down. And I was sober at the time. And I said, Stanton, you have been all over the world. What is your favorite city? What's the most beautiful city in the world? And without hesitating, he said, San Francisco. So it is my great good pleasure to be here. I have wanted to be here through the years and somehow have just been busy. I will tell you, I'll get some of the house cleaning done early. My sobriety date is June 20th, 1982. So as I stand before you, I have 30 years and 10 days of sobriety. And that is not because of me, it is because of you. It is also amazing to me that this conference has been going on for as long as it has. When I got sober in 1982, it was an issue in Long Beach. The first meeting I went to, you had to identify as a gay alcoholic, and I wasn't sure I could do it. It was a big deal. And if you didn't, there was this vicious secretary that would direct you to another meeting. Now, things have changed. But if you're sitting in this room, you're actually part of history, part of American history. I'm so proud of all of you. Now, my story, and we'll whip through it quickly here because I'm so bored with myself I could scream, but I'm... and yet fascinated all at the same time. I grew up in a little town in Colorado, Longmont, Colorado. And there you are. Actually, I grew up in Niwot, which is even smaller, and yeah. And to really quite a loving family. My mother and father are not alcoholic. I have 2 older half-brothers that are 14 and 11 years older than I am. So by all accounts, I've heard that I was a wanted baby. And I remember sitting in my high chair, I must have been about 1.5 years, maybe 2, going, oh, this isn't it. Martin and Juanita were lovely people. My mother was a small Irish lady named Juanita. Some of the damage started before I got here. because my brothers were so much older and we lived out in the country on 5 acres, I basically was raised as an only child, and I'm still good with it. But these sweet people, they didn't know what to do with me, and I didn't know what to do with them, and we were all confused. And my family is a large family and a loving family, but we also like low-grade anxiety. We like to be just a little uncomfortable. Yeah, little tension. Mom, look, it's so sunny out. Could snow. Daddy, I feel great. Cancer can hit kids. They were loving people. They really were. They didn't know what to do. My father said, if you're playing with a parasol, please do it in the backyard. The rest of my family is riddled with alcoholism. We don't like to call it that, though. We like to call it being clumsy. Leafing through the family album, there's always somebody with a cast or a black eye, or unlucky with the law. I didn't see him. As I said, my parents were not alcoholic, but we had this tension in the house, and my father did have one beer on Saturday night watching Hee Haw. And I'm fairly certain, and I had a loving, sweet father. I had a very, very loving, kind, gentle man as a father. I didn't get any of that male patterning problem there. I knew that he was confused. I remember him throwing a football at me, and then he goes, run. I said, well, if you'd like it, just ask. That whole tackling and having boys pile on you, I wouldn't find attractive till way later. And so the same 16 kids I went to first grade with, I graduated high school with, and it was a long 12 years. I was somehow singled out, you know, and it became normal for me to. In fact, even recently, I was walking down the street and I was holding my briefcase this way. And my friend goes, why are you doing that? And I said, well, they'll knock it out of your hand. Slow-briety children. And now all of them have found me on Facebook. I'm subjected to their grandchildren's pictures. Oh, it's just, we wish them every success. So I will fast forward for the simple fact that when I did have my first drink, I needed it. I knew I was different. I was okay. I still remember passing period was the longest 5 minutes of my life. There was one person that I thought I could talk to about it. He was our priest, and he was a sweet man, and he ran the youth group, and he included me. He made sure people would include me. And it was the same kids I was trying to get away from all week long that we had to sit with on Sunday. And so I thought, you know, I really didn't have the language for my unusualness, but I was well aware that, yeah. So I remember coming home, and my mother was sitting in the living room, which is unusual for 2 reasons, and she's crying. One, we saved the living room for good. And two, my mother's not a crier. So I remember sitting down and saying, what happened? She said, Father Al has died. And I found out later he committed suicide around the issue of being gay. So sitting there, I remember feeling the weight settle on my shoulders, thinking, oh. So the most responsible thing for you to do is to kill yourself. What am I going to do for those years in between? I'm so grateful to a teacher at my high school that saw that I had found a way to make people laugh. I come from a very funny family. My mother had a great sense of humor. That was a gift from her to me. And my grandmother used to say, if people are chasing you, get in front and make it look like a parade. So. So this teacher took an interest in me, and he introduced me to the world of theater. Thank goodness. Because in a show, it's a concentrated group of people. It's very familial. And for those, and it's planned. There are no surprises. You know what's going to happen. I took to it like a duck to water. There's a difference between craft and the amazing performance that you see of people and a big case of please look at me, and I had both. I finally realized there was a place for people like me, and it was Pasadena, California. So after I graduated from high school, I came out to a professional theater school in Pasadena, and it was on and popping right then. I was one of the few 18-year-olds. Some of these people had masters in theater, and they simply did not have time for your crud. I walked into my first movement class, a little uncomfortable. I was always a fat kid with big glasses. And she said, you, fatso, step on the scale. And she said, there's not a big call for obese dancers, drop it. Second year is by invitation of the faculty at this college. So I learned very quickly that, I better get on this. And I did. And my cousin is also an actor, and we went to a cast party down in Long Beach. And he said, we have to bring the booze. I'm like, cool. Now, once again, I have my fix in first grade for a bad day was a line of Oreos. So sugar and I are good. So I go to this cast party with him, and it was in a teeny tiny single apartment with 900 kids in it. And we had bought a bottle of Spinata wine. Do you remember Spinata? Repelling stuff. It was very sweet. And it was, back then, $2.49 a gallon. And the year was 1976. I was working my way back to you, babe. I remember my first drink, and I'm one of those drunks that went, oh, thank God. I suddenly lost weight, I was funny, I was really good looking. And I've heard that actually most drunks are chasing that first drink. Because somebody then said to my cousin, who's the fat kid throwing up in the bushes? Because I drank the whole gallon. Why not? Let's get to it. If it's worth doing, it's worth abusing. So, and I remember the next morning being so very sick, going, oh, I better get a hold of that. Now, once again, I talked about alcoholism. I had this wonderful uncle. I thought he was very funny. He smelled bad, but he had a drinking problem. And my family, we hang together. We love people. I was going up Main Street with my mother in the car, and I could see him stumble out of the Red Door bar with a big wet spot in front of his pants. I went, oh, I said, Mom, it's Uncle Earl. She said, uh-huh. I don't think he feels well. And she said, well, he doesn't. He has special problems due to World War II. Huh. He was so special, he passed out on the railroad tracks and was run over by a train. Clumsy. My family is great. The family disease of alcoholism, I never got the answer. My mother, almost to her dying day, would say to me, oh, well, you know how you are, Paul. I finally nailed her on it. I said, what does that mean? She said, see? So as a young gay boy back in the late 70s, I also found disco. I hit West Hollywood with white satin shorts, puka shells, feathered hair. It was fabulous. And now I look like James Lipton from The Actors. I've hit the distinguished age. And I'm grateful for it. Next month, I will turn 54 years old. It's 280 in gay years, as you know. But a privilege denied many. I make light of it because of Rule 62, but I'm kind of the also no kidding alcoholic. My descent through active alcoholism was brief. I got sober at 23. I have the war stories. Some of them are colorful, they're interesting. I qualify. Because here's the deal. I think alcoholics are born with broken hearts. And we search and we look and we try to find that one something. And it talks about it in the big book, that you will be freed from that loneliness in Keys of the Kingdom. I worked with a woman who, she had a problem. She used cocaine. And now I don't identify as an alcoholic addict because, quite frankly, I'm cheap. It's like saying you live in Los Angeles. It's whatever. And I'm so grateful that I never did a lot of it because I'm watching people come into recovery now who are dual addicted, and this stuff is chewing people in half in record time. It scares me so badly. For somebody that works in stand-up comedy and entertainment, I am deadly serious about the recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. Susan said she had to go to a meeting because of her problem. And I thought I could do that. And then she said there's cute boys. Well, I'm in. Who needs a drunk husband? I had been waking up in odd places with people I hadn't been introduced to. Odd for a retired cheerleader. And I'm the kind of drunk who's a barfer. Yeah. Boys don't call back if you barf in their lap. So I saw this as a simple way to find a partner and perhaps have love, but I secretly knew that would never be available. So I went to this meeting, and I'm also that kind of drunk that when I walked into that meeting Wednesday night in Long Beach, there was something going on in that room. And because of my theater training and working with very intuitive people, I went, what's going on in here? First of all, people are happy. Really. It has taken all of these 30 years for me to believe in happiness, wholeness, love, kindness, because I can turn in a minute. I am evil on the natch and a flaw-focused fag in a heartbeat. But I got it. And also they talked about having a book. I'm a good student. Let's have some of that. But also, for being so amazingly smart, I was trying to read the big book and it would put me to sleep. I couldn't. I'm like, ow, oh my God. Oh my God. And they said, oh honey, take it really easy. That's what we say here. We say, take it easy. Because I don't know I don't know what I thought those first few weeks. I don't know if I thought I was at the Chamber of Commerce mixer. But I heard, you don't drink or use no matter what. No matter what, no matter what. I'm like, huh, really? So one day led into two. I'm so impressed with people who are counting days. Because babies, I slightly remember. And honey, if you don't get those, you don't get years. We're so obsessed with time here. And I got up about 9:40 today, I'm just saying. That's where my sobriety started today. So the funny thing about time in this program is try and get some. It'll kick your ass. I kiddingly say I got sober in the Reagan administration. It was a long time ago. But as I began to get sober, and I did it, 28 days, my cousin was doing a show. We were all going to go to his opening. I was at my aunt's house, and she said, "Could I see you in the kitchen for a minute?" I said, "Certainly." My mother's sister. She said, "A friend has come over and brought this beautiful bottle of Cristal champagne and some strawberries. And we don't want you to embarrass us." So it is not her fault that I picked up that first glass of champagne because I was 28 days sober. I was missing for 3 weeks. Gone. Didn't show up to work. I was a Queen Mary tour guide at the time. I was on a ship that didn't move next to a plane that didn't fly. When I came to that morning of June 20th, 1982, face down on the ice plant, covered in vomit, not knowing if it was mine. It was a cold June gloom morning, the mist was down, and I was so sick. And I was so frightened, and I was so lonely. And I walked barefoot back to Long Beach. I lost a good pair of Earth shoes that night. It was bad. Can you imagine what they're worth on eBay now? And I called my friend Susan. She said, "Honey, I thought you were going to die out there. Where have you been?" And I went to that meeting with her, and I raised my hand as a newcomer again. And from that day to this, I have not had a drink or a pill since. But babies, it takes work. This past year has been the toughest in my life. I didn't plan on living this long or being this sober. I did not plan well. I have had to ask for help. I've had to be humbled more than I ever expected. And I've stayed sober. Thank God for the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and that I was firmly rooted in it, and thank God for the lovely people of Al-Anon. I suggest, by the way, and I have a loving, friendly relationship with Al-Anon. If you're a drunk, get yourself an Al-Anon best friend for heavy lifting. They are amazing. I love them. I love them so much.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
As the years have unfolded, because it has been amazing, I was fortunate enough in my first year, because I moved in with my new boyfriend at 11 months. Sure. And unfortunately, I said, if you think this relationship's going anywhere, you must go to Al-Anon, because I'm part of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you know, he went, and we were together for 10 years. And through his fourth step inventory in Al-Anon, he realized that not everyone starts the morning with Valium, and joined us here in Alcoholics Anonymous. It was wonderful. My parents loved him. We had a wonderful relationship. And then it started. I remember sitting at the AT Center as people's AZT beepers went off. And we were so frightened. No one would talk about it. We didn't talk to each other about it. But Terry Sue, and many of you know him, used to wear a button that said, "God is more powerful than AIDS." And Terry Sue has 6 more days of sobriety than I do, and we hope it always stays that way. He has been such a dear and good friend. I remember grabbing hold of all of those bracelets and saying, "Terry Sue, is it true?" He said, "Girl, we're going to get through this." We have. We became of service. I said, "What do we do, Terry Sue?" He said, "We go to the hospital." These are our friends and family to us in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I remember saying to one guy, "I don't know what to do." And he said, "Bring me plums." So I did. It's what we could do. I held Jim as he died. in 1993, and I myself was very sick. And I really didn't know where to go or what to do. And just before his death, we had nurses that came in, and this nurse said to me, there's going to be a procedure here, you may want to take a walk. So I started walking, and I ended up at the Episcopal Church, St. Thomas, on Hollywood Boulevard. And it was a Tuesday evening, and they were just beginning to have a small service. Now, I was raised in the Episcopal Church in Longmont, Colorado, and I went in, and I was fascinated that all of that trailing began to roll back. Now, earlier in my sobriety, there was a guy, and who used to sort of shadow me at the coffee bar. This sort of looked like a small troll, and he would wear leather, teeny little leather chaps, and teeny little... And when I took my 9-month chip, he came over to me and he said, I have this for you. And it was a bookmark with my name woven on it. It says Paul, and I'm like, thanks. Puka shells, white satin shorts. Thanks. So, flash forward, Jim is ill. I go to this church, and there's a sweet little pink priest with this little cherubic face. When I went up for a blessing, I began to cry, and the kind of crying that comes from underneath your pelvic bone. I was sobbing. And he took my face in his hands and put it against his chest, and he said, God hears you. And I wasn't quite sure that that was true. I left a big snot stain. I went back home. They were finishing up. I went to the bookcase. This is 10 years later. And I open a book, and out flutters this old bookmark. And I thought, really? I'm sure he's gone too. Everybody else is. And I was telling that story the next day at a meeting, and this guy comes up and goes, you don't even get it, do you? I said, what do you mean? He said, the priest is the little leather man that gave you the bookmark in Long Beach. That's Father Carroll. I love that God works backwards and upside down, even when you're not watching. It renewed my faith in a higher power, and because I'm still so busy, the mind mice on any given day, my alcoholism will wake up just a few minutes before me, like hideous vultures at the end of the bed going, oh, hello. Apparently you have aged a little during the evening. You've lost more hair. You've gained weight. Have a nice day. Once again, I make light of it, but my alcoholism is as fresh as the day it met me. And I need this program more today than possibly when I got sober, because you can't ski on last year's snow. The recipe has never changed, children. People who stay sober go to meetings, they read the big book, they get a sponsor, and they become of service, and they have sponsees. I was 3 years sober and rushing to a meeting, and I was running late, and I am very, very busy, and there was this shadowy little thing by the door. I'm like, oh, good. You, come here. And he's like, what? I said, come with me. Come in with me. So I thought, he's kind of cute. They'll probably see that I'm not that late. And we stop by the coffee. I pour him some, slam it in his hand, open the door, walk in behind him. There he is. Here's the miracle. He's sitting right here. Forrest's first meeting was 27 years. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous has been with me every step of the way. I hope to be able to give back the great amount that has been given to me. I am profoundly honored by all of you here. The thing that frightens me is, take a look around. This may be the only time we're all together. I love the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I love recovery. It's so interesting. I was a flight attendant for a long time. 90% of my problems were alcohol related because of people's fear. And it talks about it should be classed with stealing. Because of working the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the love I feel in this room, which is palpable this evening, I'm not that scared, frightened little child. I'm a very happy gay man who walks in the world as just one other person, who now, in this political climate, has a president that says that he's for marriage equality. I never thought I'd see that either. I want to thank Charles and the advisory board and Sweet Jojo for having me come, and I want to thank you, San Francisco, for keeping me sober one more day. My name is Paul, and I'm an alcoholic.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.